Shehan, it's good to see you in person, not through a camera here at Big 12 Football Media Days. What's this experience like for you as you handle the conference that arguably has the most parity of any conference in America?
Well, it's a lot of fun, and I mean, look, I've been to a lot of media days, and the Big 12 does it right. You got lots of access, lots of people around, lots of great media outlets here, but, it's fascinating coming into this year because I'd say that there are kind of tiers right now in the conference, right? There's kind of that top tier of teams, and I think that BYU is on that range, Kansas State, Arizona State, Baylor, Texas Tech, obviously a fascinating team. But after last year, you really can't say that anything's too definitive. I remember doing an interview here last year and telling an Arizona State outlet, like, yeah, I think maybe they can make a bowl game and they go on and win the dang league. So it's a lot of fun, and you get to learn so much at an event like this.
You speak of BYU, and a few weeks ago on BYU Sports Nation, of course, this is still with Jake Retzloff in play. You said, I think BYU's a team that could legitimately win the conference. Now assessing their quarterback situation with the expected transfer of Jake and the three largely unproven quarterbacks, how does that shift your expectations for the Cougars?
Well, I think that the floor goes down, right? That's the biggest thing that you have to say. You knew what you had with Jake Retzloff there. You knew what he brought to the table. I don't think that certainly it changes everything because BYU is a defensive-led team. You look at what Jay Hill's done there at defensive coordinator, some of the guys they bring back, some of the guys they brought in. This is still going to be one of the best rosters and most talented teams. But the question for me, and this is really a big thing when I evaluate the conference at large, is where is that explosiveness offensively going to come from? I think that last year, obviously, Jake was able to bring in. I think that 2 years ago, that was a struggle for BYU and some of the reasons that they struggled. I think that maybe Chase Roberts could bring some of it. I think that LJ Martin might be one of the most underrated players in the Big 12. If he can stay healthy, I think that makes things a lot easier. But you do have to say, right, like without certainty at that quarterback position and without guys who have played in 2 years on campus, it just makes it a lot harder to project.
Yeah, BYU understandably is one of the more intriguing scenarios here in the Big 12. If you were to do a preseason poll right now, and they've done away with it because it was so bad last year, Sean. It was so bad. We're not doing it anymore. Where would you place a team like BYU in your own personal Big 12 preseason poll?
I think that I'd have them right around 5. And again, right on the edge of being in that top group, I think that I'd say. I think that the other 4 teams that I mentioned, Baylor, Texas Tech, Arizona State, Kansas State, I'd probably comfortably have ahead of them. But BYU, TCU, Kansas, they're kind of right on that cusp, right in that next tier. Maybe you throw a Utah in there as well. And again, like you look at this conference, there are at least 9 or 10 teams that have the upside of making it to Arlington and having a chance to win a Big 12 championship. So I don't think they're in the top group. I think they're just below that.
Brett Yormark notably said the current college football playoff construct might not be the best scenario for us right now, or at least what they're pushing forward for with 5 AQs and 11 at-large. He said, we believe that is the clear right format. It doesn't necessarily help us right now, but we believe it will in the future. How do you assess the Big 12's role in the CFP with that vision that he presented?
Well, I think that people are being a little short-sighted, because there's 2 pieces of this. One, if you look back the last many years, the Big 12 would have had 2 teams, a lot of years in the top 12. Last year was a little bit of a down year for the conference because you just had some transition. You obviously had so many new teams coming in. It was just a little bit of a tumultuous year. I don't think that that's definitive of what this conference is going to be. The other piece of it, too, is that long-term, if you look at it, if you set yourself in a scenario where one conference has 4 guaranteed spots and you have 2, you are fundamentally treating yourself as a lesser conference, right? And you're fundamentally treating yourself as a not as powered conference. Now, I think in this new world, right, there are a big 2, there are kind of a middle 2, and then there's kind of everybody else. But I don't think that you need to formalize it necessarily in too many ways. And again, if you look at the Big 12 last year, they would have been guaranteed almost to get 2 teams in if it was a 16-team college football playoff. And by the way, obviously Arizona State, Iowa State, BYU were right there. Like, it wouldn't have been impossible to see them get 3, depending on some things work out. So I think it's a smart move by the Big 12 to kind of say, hey, we're not going to throw away everything that we think just because our 1 year didn't go our way. And again, I think that you just can't approach it from too much of a reactionary perspective, because otherwise you're changing things every single year.
Shehan Jeyarajah is with us on BYU Sports Nation. A couple of things really quickly. I need to compliment you on your jacket here today. It's gotten a lot of attention, not a shocker. Where'd you pick up this beautiful coat?
Oh, off the sale rack, man. Off the sale rack at Saks Fifth Avenue at Grapevine Mills Mall right here in DFW. So if you want a good deal, make sure and check it out there.
Okay. And secondly, many of our listeners have enjoyed and watchers have enjoyed your time on BYU Sports Station. You were you're the rising star of the Football Writers Association of America. Congratulations on getting that award.
Thank you. It's been a really incredible couple of weeks for me, just with some of the stuff I've been able to do and hearing about that award. And, actually, I got to say, Kalani Sataki came into the room upstairs and he congratulated me immediately, which I had no idea that anybody knew about this stuff, and said, I hope I had some small piece in being able to help you get it. And, it's just been so cool, especially in this conference that I have so much background, to have people and have coaches that I have such relationships with. And again, I feel a little old to be winning a Rising Star Award, but I will certainly take it. So thank you so much.
Nonsense. Anybody that can pull off that jacket is nowhere close to old, Shehan. Okay, speaking of rising, I know you have BYU in your preseason poll right around number 5 in that top part of the second tier. But who is the team this year that you believe could shock people like Arizona State or BYU did last year?
Well, I think it's been interesting to me to see some of these preseason odds, because I didn't expect Utah to be mentioned as much as they were. I saw them as more of a dark horse type team. So, I'd probably have them 8 or 9 in my preseason poll. But that's a team that I think, again, you look the last 2 years, they were picked number 1 in each of their respective conferences and fell on their face in a lot of ways. But this is an offense with Devin Dampier coming in and Jason Beck coming in that I think has a lot of upside and has a lot of explosion. And it won't be as bad as it's been in years past. One other team that I'll mention, though, that's more of a crazy riser is Houston. You look at the way that they finished last year, the way that they played defense in the month of November, they were a special team. Now, they have to replace their defensive coordinator, but they brought in another great one in Austin Armstrong from Florida. And offensively, they've got a quarterback in Connor Wegman, who is not the 5-star that he was billed potentially, but he is a good player. He's got a good supporting cast around him. They've got some receivers, and you trust Willie Fritz to figure out an offense. So I think that's a team that could go from maybe you'd consider them in the 12 to 14 range to maybe finishing in the top half.
Shehan, great stuff. Congratulations again on your award, and we'll talk to you again soon on BYU Sports Nation.
Thank you so much for having me.